Hello everyone, and welcome to the first video I am recording from my entirely new location. New office, new studio, new house, new life, new Alec. Just kidding. This is still Alec, the photographer, videographer, web designer, and general techie who's here to bring you YouTube content you like, because I love making YouTube content. So here we go. Today we are talking about the Apple One More Thing keynote. If you're watching this video, you've probably seen or at least heard a little bit about what happened during this One More Thing keynote. And well, the rumors are true. Apple and Intel, they're breaking up. So before I get too much into the keynote and what we heard today, really groundbreaking news from Apple, I'd like to talk a little bit about the context for this big shift that they're making away from Intel. So in June of this year, 2020, Apple announced during the WWDC event that they would be shifting all of their Macs over to their own Apple silicon, and they would start shipping those out by the end of this godforsaken year. But even before that, Apple has been talking about shifting away from Intel in wake of quite a few different kind of tense moments between Apple and Intel over the last few years. With a little bit of browsing on the internet, a little bit of Mac rumors browsing, a little bit of finding some different articles here and there, which I've done and I'm sure you can do yourself, I've personally found that Apple and Intel seem to be kind of been butting heads now for a little while. So back in 2018, Apple actually filed suit against their modem chip provider, and those are the chips that keep you connected to the internet on your iPhone. Qualcomm. And so while they were locked in litigation with Qualcomm, Apple decided to release the XS lineup, so the XS and the XS Max, with Intel modem chips. So if you don't remember how this switch to Intel modem chips on the iPhone XS and XS Max turned out, you probably didn't have a XS or a XS Max, at least in the early days, because the Intel chips were just absolutely plagued with bugs and issues. Then in mid-2019, as Apple was focusing on the release of their first 5G phones, Intel decided to drop the little bomb that they would not have 5G capable modem chips available. So as you would expect, Apple ended up transitioning the iPhone 12 lineup back to Qualcomm chips that do have 5G capabilities. To go one step further, even after WWDC this year, a former Intel engineer, and I'm just gonna butcher his name, so I'm sorry in advance. Francois Piednoel. He essentially explained that the switch from Intel to Apple's own silicon wasn't just about little petty issues, little bugs here and there, or these missed deadlines like people had kind of previously assumed. Rather, that it's just a matter of Intel's terrible quality control over the last few years. He said himself, when your customer starts finding as many bugs as you found yourself, you're not leading in the right place. So now all of this has brought us here now, and Apple is releasing their very first Apple silicon for Mac, their first SoC designed for more than just an iPhone. In this video, I want to give you my own brief synopsis on this One More Thing keynote, kind of going over what I'm excited about, what I'm skeptical about, and what my recommendation would be for you if you were looking for a Mac computer sooner rather than later. So first off, I'm just generally really excited to see SoCs making their way into PCs. If you're kind of unfamiliar with this concept, an SoC, a system on a chip, is essentially a chip that is able to take on the roles of many previous chips. Chips that would have previously had to been isolated and do a certain task on their own have now been integrated together. And what that integration means is, while it's really difficult to do well, if you can integrate all of these things together, it basically means that they play a lot nicer together and they're a lot more efficient. Simply put, the efficiency comes from the fact that all of these chips are all in one chip. So if one particular part of the chip has to access a certain process or a certain piece of information, that doesn't have to get pinballed back and forth between a whole bunch of different chips all across the board. Rather, it's all being kept within one unit. A good way to look at this is, okay, imagine you're throwing a party and you need decorations and you need food, you need party favors, maybe you need some friends because you don't have any, and it's kind of sad and lonely to party on your own. Wouldn't know from personal experience. Anyways, say that you need all of these things. Now, what you could do is you could go to a specialized store for each and every one of these things on your way home, and you'd be making a whole bunch of different trips on your way home, and it would take a little bit longer. You could also just go to the food and stuff store that's on your way home from work, and you could pick up all the stuff that you need and maybe grab the cash register Jimmy as your one friend for the party. Now you've gotten everything in one place. It was way more efficient, saved you a lot of time, and now you can take that power that you would have used to go to all these different stores and expend it in just partying and having a good time. The M1 chip is like the food and stuff for the Mac motherboard, essentially. It's taking all of these things that the Mac used to have to go to a whole bunch of different stores to accomplish, and it's taken all those stores and put it into food and stuff. Everything's all in one place. Super easy. I'm also excited for Apple's new 5nm process. I mean, that's something that is just pushing the entire industry forward. Something that seems to be happening at an ever-quickening pace, but nonetheless, it's pretty exciting to see a 2nm difference on the most cutting-edge PC processors we had before this keynote. As for power usage, I've never really thought too much about power consumption myself. As a power user, I've kind of just always assumed that I'm going to be tethered to an outlet when I'm doing my work tasks, but with the efficiency of the M1 chip, there may actually be a case to be made here for power users even such as myself, looking into this new lineup of Macs thinking this might actually untether me and allow me to travel and work a little bit more easily. So you're probably thinking to yourself right now, everything you said so far sounds pretty good, and it is. So what am I skeptical about? I'm generally skeptical about the performance claims that Apple's making about the M1 chip in all of these different devices. I mean, I think it's warranted considering this chip is brand new. No one has any baseline to go off. There's not even a previous version of this chip to say, yes, this is what it might look like. I mean, we can look at the mobile processors that Apple's been making for the past few years now, but even with that, I don't think we're going to be able to compare the two very well. It's kind of apples and oranges. I mean, Apple literally said that the M1 chip would provide the fastest integrated graphics in a PC chip. That's pretty impressive, but it doesn't give me a lot to go off of. They also said that the M1 would deliver up to 2 times the performance of the PC chip at just 10 watts. Well, I mean, what benchmark are they using for this? What's the PC chip? What metrics are they using here? These are all things that Apple is not very good at. You know, it's not very Apple-like for them to just put their product on the stage right next to a competitive product and show you exactly how they compare side by side. That's not really Apple's thing. I think we'll just have to wait until we start seeing comprehensive reviews on all of these devices come out before we really know if all of these glitters is gold. Okay, and I promised a recommendation, so here it is. If you're looking for one, wait if you can. I think by the end of this year, by the end of 2020, we are going to see some massive discounts on the stock of Intel-based Macs. So you should be able to pick up a good deal there. And I'm guessing for a lot of people, Intel-based Macs are going to do just fine for everything you want them to do. I'm currently using an Intel-based Mac, and I don't plan on switching yet until I really see what's going on. If you absolutely can't wait, it's hard to recommend the M1 as it is a first-generation product. I would probably wait a couple of years and maybe just bank on the Intel, but it's all a matter of personal preference. It's all a matter of what you need and what your budget is and what you feel comfortable doing. So it's hard to make a recommendation, but from what I'm personally going to do, I would say wait. Just see what happens, wait until the comprehensive reviews come out at least, and then maybe check out some of those discounts on previous gen Macs and see if they're, well, worth picking up one of those instead. All right, well, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, tune in this weekend for the first episode of a podcast that we have yet to name. But that's going to be coming out on Sunday, and I'll keep you guys informed on that on all my other social media. Check me out on Instagram at AlecJLinkedIn. Geez, man, that's really the only one that matters a whole lot. You're already on my YouTube, so if you've got those two, you know where I am most of the time. We'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, I want to say thank you. You know, if you've been subscribing to my videos, or if you've subscribed to my channel while I haven't been uploading new content, I really appreciate it. You've been a huge part of the motivation for me to get back on here and get back to making videos, which is what I absolutely love doing. This year's been really tough for me, as I'm sure it's been tough for a lot of you guys, and over the last few months, a lot of changes have been happening in my life. But here we are now. I feel like I'm in a better position now than ever to continue creating content, and hopefully to a higher degree than I have before. So if you guys are interested in seeing kind of my progression throughout all of this, I promise that more content's going to be coming. My current schedule that I have kind of roughly etched out is going to be Mondays and Thursdays, and then Mondays and Fridays, and then we're going to do Sundays with the podcast. So Monday, expect a talking head video. Fridays, expect some sort of kind of more overproduced video, and then Sundays, expect that podcast. We're going to be doing at least a couple hours on every podcast, I hope. We'll see. I'm usually pretty good at talking. I mean, look at this. I'm talking the videos over. But anyways, thank you guys all so much. I really appreciate you. You're the reason that I am here doing this now, and love it. So thank you.